we have to debrief from the NBA Cup final. We both called it that the Thunder were going to win, and the Thunder did not win. They had their worst performance of the season, I think, and the Bucks had their best performance of the season. 97-81 win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis with a crazy triple-double. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of his worst games of the year. People, I think, are overreacting a little bit. And I don't know, like, do you overreact at all? Do you take that much away from this game? And if you do overreact, or if you just react to the game, do you think that the win says more about Milwaukee and what they're capable of doing? Or does it say more about the Thunder and their flaws, and maybe we're crowning them too early as the favorite to come out of the Western Conference?
I think that's like kind of the beauty of the NBA Cup, right? And for all the people that love to like talk down on this tournament, say that it's a joke, like, you know, who cares, all this, like it kind of forces teams to take it seriously at this point in the season. And then like it puts a little bit of pressure on them, and you get to actually see like, all right, like what are they made of when you're actually trying to win something? And now like their narratives being crafted around the Thunder based off of the NBA Cup. So for anybody that says they don't take it all that seriously, or like as from a fan perspective, like now you're learning a little bit about these teams. And now we're talking about, did we actually learn something about these teams or not? And I do think that it said more about the Bucks and what they're capable of when they're really locked in trying to win, the same way that it was with the Lakers last year. And I don't think it's a coincidence that, you know, you have LeBron James as NBA Cup NBA Cup championship, I think they call it.
Yeah.
MVP the first year, Lakers win. Second year, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, absolutely dominant performance from top to bottom, all the way through the NBA Cup playoffs, if you want to call them that, tournament. And then a ridiculous triple-double in the championship where it just looked like he had another gear to get to than any other player on the floor. So, you know, I think that it shows that this is a team that started the season 2-6. They've completely bounced back from that. And now Giannis is making a run at best player in the world again. He's showing you how serious he can be when he's locked in like that. Damian Lillard playing at extremely high level. They're starting to get healthy. Chris Middleton wasn't available in the NBA Cup championship, but like, you know, he's back from his ankles, plural, injury. So, you know, I think for me, it did kind of illuminate some flaws for the Thunder. Like, yes, they shoot a lot of threes. Yes, they're kind of in that, like, I'm going to say Missoula ball, like type of offensive flow where it's a lot of drive, kick, and just hope that, you know, make or miss league, hope you hit your shots. They didn't hit him in the NBA Cup championship. It kind of like illuminates the fact that they have a lot of guys who are willing to take 3-pointers, but they're not necessarily good 3-point shooters. Like I was looking at it before this, like Lou Dort is shooting over 40% from three. He's the only one of their regular rotation players who in Isaiah Joe as well. But regular rotation players out of guys who I would not classify as like good shooters who are shooting at a respectable rate. Like Caruso is still under 30%. Same goes for Case and Wallace. And these are guys that they need to knock down shots. So, you know, when those guys aren't knocking down shots, life gets a lot more difficult for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that's exactly what we saw in the NBA Cup championship, where, you know, there was just too much focus on what he was doing. Once he was driving into the paint, he couldn't really get to his spots, and nobody was knocking down shots to help him out.
Yeah, so that's funny because all year we've been talking about it, and you know, I'm not saying that we crowned them too soon or anything like that, or we spoke too highly of the Thunder, but a lot of things that I was always saying about them is that they don't really have any big flaws. They don't really have any big flaws, and then they have this stinker of a shooting night, and it's like, wait a second, they might need to put shooting on top of their Christmas list because, you know, how much can you count on those guys to knock down shots, especially in a league where you probably need to hit 12 plus to win a game. I think they shot 5 of 35 in the NBA Cup championship. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it was really bad. It was really, really bad at what they did from beyond the arc. But I don't want to overreact from what they did. I think, one, they ran into a better player. Giannis was the best player in the game and definitely the best player in the tournament. Not necessarily saying he's better than Jokic. We've talked about, you know, that 1-2. They'll be 1-2 for a really long time. But, you know, we always talk about these game 7 situations. Oftentimes, the best player comes out on top, or the team with the best player comes out on top. And I think that's what happened with Milwaukee and Giannis. On the topic of the Thunder, that game felt a lot like a playoff game. The intensity was definitely there. And how many times in the playoffs do we see teams come out and have a stinker? And it's like, oh, man, like, do we need to be worried about this team? And then either they go back to the drawing board after game 1 or after game 2 and they figure it out and they win the next 4 games. That's what that felt like to me. It felt like the Thunder laid a stinker in game 1 or just had pick the bad time to have a bad game to start a playoff series, and then they go back to the drawing board and they figure it out. They make some adjustments, but you just can't have that in a one-off type situation. And again, that's the beauty of the NBA Cup, that NCAA tournament style thing. It's just that one game where if you have a bad game, you miss out on the bread, you miss out on the trophy, and that is what it is. But I'm not going to overreact about the Thunder. I don't think Chet Holmgren necessarily fixes the issues that they showed in that game, but it is important to remember that they had a Defensive Player of the Year candidate before he was hurt, All-Star candidate before he was hurt, missing from that game. And if they were at full strength, it would definitely look a little bit different. So not going to freak out too much about Oklahoma City, but we did, like you say, learn about some of the flaws that they have that they should focus on as the season goes on.